The All Smiling Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Always Smiling Faces podcast on the GallowgateShots YouTube channel. It is myself, Kris, your host tonight, joined by Mark at Deka, and Iain is joining us as well. I was saying to Deka when we first came in today, it's like a carousel, this, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
We've got a new guest every single week because everybody's just off on holiday and that.
Well, it's that time of year, isn't it? It's that time of year. But you've got three. We're back, and we'll welcome Iain tonight.
That's my debut. I don't know how I'll do on it.
It's actually your debut on you.
But on All Smiling Faces, it is. Well, I've been in the show, but obviously not since it got redone. But yeah, on this show, my debut. So,
well,
let's hope I don't flop.
All the best.
Not be the first time.
I hope you do.
Shall we just dive straight into it?
Yeah, Deka needs to see his new catchphrase. Two weeks running.
That catchphrase is not taken off, I'll tell you that, because hopefully we won't have to say it very often. Let's just get into it. I think there's a lot of emotion thrown around over the last 24 hours, and we did delay the match reaction until this morning to record because everybody was very angry at full time yesterday. Obviously I met up with used to as well after the match, but we'll talk about it and get into it a bit. Deka, I'm going to start with you because you were on the match reaction. Sorry, the match.
Yeah, I remember
prediction.
It well. Yeah.
And you said we would batter Liverpool, if I remember right, with a 3-1, possibly even more.
He said 5-1 at one point.
Yeah, I think he said 3-1, maybe 4 or 5. What went wrong, Deka?
Substitutions? No. Well, listen, right, like, I still think, right, for large parts of the game, we played all right. We played well. I think if you think, certainly the first half, for certain periods, I thought we battered them. To be honest, I thought us getting the ball back as fast as it was every single time them trying to pass the ball, we just won it back straight away.
Yeah.
Turnovers were brilliant. I thought we looked really energetic. The atmosphere was great. The problem was, I think, obviously, of course, take Gordon's goal out of it, but we just didn't really ever truly get behind them and really create massive amounts of pressure. For all, we were winning the ball back early and we were passing it around. Still didn't think we were passing it around quick enough, but other than that, we didn't really do very much, if I'm being brutally honest. And I know Alisson pulled off probably the best save I've ever seen live, to be honest. It was incredible, that save. And we did have the odd chance here and there, but overall, we didn't really create much, if I'm honest. And that does hurt us a bit, to be honest. But I still think that the performance itself, you could take a lot away from it. And we did play okay. We did play all right, I think. But what we will dissect as time goes on is how we didn't do anywhere near enough when they went down to 10 men. And we will, of course, cover that. But it most certainly wasn't a 5-1, was it? So
yeah, far from it.
Yeah.
Mark, you say that, though, but it could have quite easily have been.
At what point?
Well,
I don't think that ever looked like a game that we were going to score many goals behind.
There's fine margins in that game, and there's a lot of. I know it's a hard result to take given the circumstances of it, but there's still a lot of positives in that game for me. Like a couple of bits that you've mentioned, the fact that that save, I've still no idea how Alisson saves that.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. For him to get up to it and palm it away from there, and then the fact that it then bounces from the crossbar, he palms it away again.
He sees it late as well. If you watch the replay,
yeah, like 99 times out of 100, that shot from me, because he hits it very, very well, goes in. There's one. You then have the other one that springs massively to mind was second half. Miggy again gets down the way, hell of a run, unbelievable run.
Yeah.
Gets down, takes it edge of the box, does everything right, bends it round the keeper, and again comes off the inside of the post and those fine margins that we're talking about
Prior to
again.
that, I think he balloons one.
Yeah.
Comes away.
Over
That was a shocker.
Totally Gallowgate.
That was a shocker. The one before it, but it's
that's another moment that just sticking me in. That Mickey chance
Yeah.
that flashes across. He should do a lot better there.
absolutely.
I think Gordon had half a chance again. An amazing run, to be fair to Gordon. Very similar to Mickey's actually.
Yeah.
And he puts it wide. But, and I think I referenced this to when we were standing having a drink afterwards. The two moments that we've mentioned, other than the Mickey chance, of course, that was, I think it was a corner, wasn't that came to him, whatever it was. The two probably best moments of that second half are from people picking the ball from the halfway line, having to run and take on 4 players. To me, that's old school, what we used to do. Under, and I'm not mentioning his name, under someone else who used to pick up the ball and run around, try and take 5 people on a shoot. And that the two best moments really were very similar to that. You had Gordon doing it and then you had Mickey doing it. I just never felt at any point did we really create good chances, really cut them open at any point in the game. Other than, of course, the moment was scored. The goal was scored, let's be fair, right?
Came from their mistake.
It was their mistake. The only time where we probably cut them open, we got someone sent off. Probably the only real time when we put a ball through that really meant something, a real opportunity for someone to run onto something, we got someone sent off. And I feel like we've covered the whole game in 5 minutes. So good night, everyone. But yeah, like it was just a weird one. Like it was, and obviously Mark's right. I mean, it's an absolute killer because for all. Them didn't do much to us either, and I appreciate they've got 10 men. But Pope wasn't really called upon at any real point in the game.
The first half, I think it was Diaz where he broke through.
Yeah, he
and
broke
pulled
through.
off a good
It was a
save.
decent save, yeah. They didn't really do much, but they're not. I will absolutely say this: they deserve a lot of credit. I mean, 70 minutes with 10 men at our building. Like, listen, they deserve a lot of credit, and I will give them that as much as it pains us to see it. They had 2 chances and they took them both. And going back to Mark's fine margins, if we had gotten that second goal, if Miggy had scored that chance there. We could have run away with that game. You never know, but you know.
So if we go through the certain stages of the game, obviously the first talking point is obviously the yellow cards, which are shown well, not shown really.
I'm really interested to talk about this one. Actually.
Oh yeah, right, okay. So Mark, obviously me and you sitting near each other, and the first one, obviously me and Iain have covered this on the match reaction, but the first one, if you go and look back at this now, it's a free kick really to Liverpool.
100%.
Gordon braces
100%.
Trent, he braces him off the ball.
He just pushes. He just pushes him direct. He just pushes him off the pitch.
I actually totally agree, but I didn't think he would, so that's great.
So it's a free kick all day long, Liverpool.
It is like
so. I can't be as angry with the second one because of what happened there, because we were lucky for him to get that first yellow card. Because really, that's
I'm not sure about that. Like,
well, it is, because if the referee does his job, it's a free kick.
But if he doesn't throw the ball away, he doesn't get booked.
No,
but that's what I was saying on the match.
If he doesn't throw away the ball, he doesn't get booked, and he probably gets the free kick.
Like, you play to the whistle, and he hasn't give a free kick. His reaction to then is throw the ball away, which is a booking.
I think he's through the ball because he
has got the free kick. Yeah,
I think that's why he throws the ball, not to slow the game down. I think it's out of frustration. That's why he throws it.
But even then, that's still a yellow card.
But whether or not that's the right decision or not, if it should have been a free kick to Liverpool, he gets booked. Okay, the game carries on. I think it's 3-4 minutes later. That's when the second challenge comes, and Gordon just knocks it past him, and it's an arm across, obviously top half of the body, just to block the run, basically. There's no question about it. That's a second yellow card, isn't it?
It's a soft one, but it is.
It's a yellow card, and I think, I mean, there's no question, is there? There's absolutely no question it's a yellow card. Now, the only point that I was, and you've already kind of mentioned it, was the first one. Technically, I mean, it's just a foul to them, really. Like, if I'm being really honest, and the push that Gordon did on him is probably worse than the one he did on Gordon. To be really honest. But having said that, we'll take all that out of it. He is being carded, and that second one's a yellow card. Forget about whatever mistake or whatever foul it should have been,
or whatever time in the match.
Yeah. And let's be very fair, right? If that had been second half, he's off. But I think it's because it's so damn close together.
It's absolute bullshit, though, isn't it, Iain?
Massively.
That obviously the time of the game comes into consideration for these referees, because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what I was saying this morning. It doesn't matter whether it's the first minute, 90th minute, 60th minute. If it's a yellow card offence, it's a yellow card offence on all minutes. But we were talking about the lack of consistency in refereeing. The Palace game last week against Arsenal, Tomiyasu got sent off for virtually the same foul, a second yellow. So again, it's frustrating from a lack of consistency point of view from refereeing. But like you say, it doesn't matter when that happens; it's a yellow card offence.
That is a really good point, actually, about the Arsenal game, because it was very similar, wasn't it?
I think the first one he got for time wasted,
which, to be fair, he doesn't.
He got the brunt of it, didn't he?
He got the brunt of it.
And then the second one is he gets past him, he tugs his shirt, and he goes down.
To be fair though, if the shoe's on the other foot, you're hoping that the referee does use a bit of common sense in that situation, and just when they do come that closely together and that quickly, and neither of them were really bad fouls or endangering like anything like that. It was two very, very soft issues. Yes, to the letter of the law, they're both bookings and he should be sent off, and we'll be laughing with tits off that if it happens. But the other way around, you're annoyed, aren't you?
You'd be foaming if you got one of our players sent off.
Yeah.
Like if Trippier did that in 7 minutes and got sent off, we'd be up in arms about it.
There's a great shout that's came in from Stephen Patterson there, and I will put it on screen for everybody. He says, to be fair, Gordon should have been shown 2 yellow cards against Manchester City. We got away with that one as well.
I agree with that,
because he was very, very lucky to stay on the field. Hence why Eddie Howe dragged him straight off after that second one he got away with. And those 2 challenges from Gordon against City were worse than the 2 Trent ones, in my opinion. A lot worse.
Oh, they were 100%.
But the Trent ones were silly. They were stupid challenges where you was never, obviously the first one was winning the ball, but the second one he was never winning that. That was just to stop the player from getting past him.
Yeah, because that was a yellow card. Like there's absolutely no question that's a yellow card.
Yeah.
I think it's just because of the first one. I don't know, maybe if the referees thought, God, I have just booked him for next to nothing.
100%.
He's almost felt sorry for him, right? Which is wrong, by the way. I can't go. It is wrong for him to think that way. But I definitely think time and thinking one of the first ones hardly anything. I'll give him one more chance. Now, what I will also say,
he makes his decision very quickly there that he's not going to give him a second yellow.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Waves it away straight away.
Yeah, he does. And what I will, I'm not saying it's the defense of that, but like Joe Linton, how he didn't get booked.
I was surprised at that, mind.
He was chopping everyone down. And I'm thinking, well, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. And I'm thinking, no bother.
Well,
and even the bloke behind us went, he's going to get booked in a minute. And I hope
2,
so.
3, 4 came in with about 30 seconds each other because he just kept on following the ball and pushing every single player close to him.
Now, this is where, I hope I word this right. This is where I think it's funny sometimes with a second yellow card, the sort of conversation comes in. So you do something right, and the next time you do a foul, everyone's opinion about a yellow card. But Joe Linton technically did 4 or 5 that really should. So sometimes people get 4 or 5 opportunities and then they get a yellow. So then that can also work for the other way. So you get a yellow card, but then you might have 4 or 5 more, and then you get your second yellow. Does that make sense? Whereas sometimes I think our view is, second you do a bad foul or anything, it's another yellow.
Do you think the referee tried to stamp his authority on the game that early on with the first yellow card for Trent? Well, sorry, the only yellow card, by saying, right, you've slow game down, frustration sort of thing, that you're unhappy with my decision. I'm not happy with it. There's a yellow card. Don't do it again. Nobody else will do it again.
It's the dissent thing. It's the new rule this season where they've got to come down very, very hard on it. He certainly didn't put his authority on the time wasting, as we saw, from the kickoff under Liverpool, which is quite ironic, seeing as it's Newcastle that invented time wasting. I think if he doesn't give that first yellow, 100% he's booking him for the second one. He's got to referee it with common sense. He's looking at the situation, as you've just said, Deka, and he's weighing up in his head. I've just booked him there, 2 minutes ago for something that's quite soft. Really, I should be booking him here, but it's early on in the game. He's not wanting to spoil the game and ruin it for something as petty and stupid as that. Had it have been a bad tackle where he's gone through him or something like that, 100% he's off, he's gone.
But whether or not it's going to ruin the game, it's a whether or not the referee.
It's the referee's discretion whether he thinks, by the letter of the law, yes, it probably is a yellow card, but we see it week in, week out with decisions where some referees will let certain tackles go, someone's a bit hard and stuff like that.
Why not when Van Dijk make his challenge? Why is that not ruining the game at that point?
Because I don't think that was as soft as what the Trent yellow card would be, but it's a foul by the letter of the law. I see your point. Yeah.
Same argument.
Well, I haven't really moved on yet to the red card, so I'll not say what I'm going to say. But no, I am with Mark, and I think Mark's saying it's a common sense, almost a neutral comment, that really. Do you know what I mean? Because we should really be around the table. Well, it's a second yellow, I'll get him off. That's how and I was at the time, if I'm honest, I was at the time. But I've said this since the day I ever sat here. I've always said I'll always try and judge it if it was us. And if that was us getting someone for a set, I would be fuming.
But then I think if that was us as well, in the same argument, we think, what a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's ridiculous.
It was stupid.
It's clumsy, and he just hasn't thought about it. But lucky for him, he stayed on the field. Then obviously not long after that one is obviously Newcastle. This is the red card comes first of all.
Aye, yeah. Well,
Do we go 1-0 up
we'll
first?
go 1-0
We'll
up
go 1-0
first.
up first.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
go
go
Yeah,
1-0.
because it's Van Dijk.
Yeah, 'cause
That's
Van
closing
Dijk,
him
oh,
Dijk. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
So
we'll
we'll
go
go 1-0 up first. And Deka, talk me through it, because we spoke about, Mark, you spoke about, obviously, we're going to scored 4 or 5 goals there, but the only goal that we score comes from a defensive mistake, which Liverpool make, which Gordon is very, very quick at capitalising on.
Unbelievably quick, yeah. And I think, again, you've got to credit Gordon massively, even just for that moment there alone. I think, obviously, again, I said this at the time, the game was so fast and furious, especially in the middle of the park, I thought, and no one had a second on the ball to breathe. And I'm sure it's Salah, right, who obviously plays it back. And it is a heavy pass, like, don't get us wrong. But Gordon's so fast, so quick. Obviously, he's facing that way, whereas Trent's not. So that's obviously a lot harder for them to turn around. And once he's through,
Trent tries to foul him as well.
He just tried, doesn't he? And I thought,
Which, again, there's another one.
Aye. When he's through on goal, this is just to my moment in the ground. It was an eternity for him to get towards the goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? It felt a long time he's running with the ball. And what a wonderful finish. It was an absolutely wonderful finish. And I think we've spoke certainly over the last few weeks about last season and not getting that goal. And we'll say, he just needs a goal. He just needs a goal. And I really hope this is his moment, because he deserves it, by the way. He was incredible yesterday. Absolutely incredible. All game. And I was so happy for him to score. You could see the crowd, how much the crowd wanted him to score as well. I got very Miggy, like Miggy vibes when Miggy first got that goal. I felt a little bit like for Gordon yesterday, where I felt everyone wanted him to get that goal.
The noise in St. James' Park when that ball hit the back of the net was loud, and obviously I think one of that's down to Gordon scoring. Gordon then scoring against Liverpool, and the fact that it's just a goal against Liverpool as well, with everything and the circus which comes along with Jurgen Klopp as well, and he's random hatred for Newcastle United and Eddie Howe, which obviously makes the result that little bit more painful as well.
Well, he'd already been at his games on the touchline by that point anyway.
I noticed.
I mean, literally, it started from that first throw-in.
Yeah.
So
he was up all day, wasn't he? It was difficult for me to see, but I did look over quite often, and he just seemed to always be having a go, like, you know what I mean? And
because he's a dick.
I know he is. I know. But
they were showing it on Sky Sports, because obviously I watched it in a pizza place, sports bar, and every time it went when we was
in a pizza place.
So in Darlow. No, like it's called
the important questions right here about the match.
They do like,
what pizza did you have?
They do like 20-inch slices.
Hang on, 20.
Was it 2020 in the big market?
No, it's in Darlow. It's called Hideaway.
20-inch slice.
Yeah, it's massive.
Is that not just a pizza?
Hang on, a 20-inch slice? No.
Hold on, a slice from a 20-inch pizza.
Right.
Same thing in my head.
It's the same as 2020 in the big market.
I watched it there.
I was almost trying to Donald, like, I'm not gonna lie.
Bit bland yesterday. Usually it's quite good as well. But yeah, anytime it was showing him, it was he was just in the ear of the fourth official. It almost seemed like the fourth official was just like, "Will you shut up? Like, you're doing me head in." She was doing I really hate Klopp, like, over any other manager.
But again, that's where, if you're abiding by the rules of this season, you should be booked, getting spoken to, and you should be having a conversation with him. And if he continues to do it, the referee should be coming over and booking him.
Well, I didn't realise, but Marco Silva, the Fulham manager, he's been booked in every game so far this season for that.
Off once as well, I think.
Potentially.
Was it not his comments as well at the weekend where he absolutely criticised and nail on the head sort of stuff as well?
Straight in, didn't he?
Yeah. But anyway, moving on. Next one is the sending off, Mark. Van Dijk, clumsy challenge, really, isn't it? Jimmy Carragher doesn't believe it was a red card.
No active contact. It was no. Oh no, that was Klopp. No active contact.
Active contact.
No, active contact. Klopp's been very soft contract. Hardly any there. Howie, he goes straight through him, doesn't he?
Sorry. Well, you talk us through first, sorry, Mark, before I comment.
Well, we're at opposite ends for the game, so
right
you get a different view of it. We're looking kind of from the opposite corner to where it happens, and again, a lovely ball through, and he just picks up that fantastic position between the two defenders, where it's awkward for them to pick them up, and he's away, isn't he? He's through there. Lovely touch to take him past, and then fair play to Van Dijk. He tries to come across and get a tackle in, and he wins the ball. He wins the ball cleanly after completely wiping out Isaac. He goes straight through him, doesn't he? He takes his leg, clears the ball, and then he's away with him. It's just stupid.
It was very un-Van Dijk like. That's not something he would normally do.
Panic
Right?
that. That's what that
Like
is.
he would normally just shepherd you along out wide, right?
Yeah.
That's what he's meant at, I think. And I was surprised. Now, the reason why I reacted the way I did there, I can only be honest with my emotions at the time. I was shocked to see a red card.
Really?
Oh, I stunned, because I thought, well, it's a tackle, it's a foul. Don't get us wrong, it's a yellow card. When he gave the red, my pants down. I couldn't believe it. I was like, greatest. But I think the reason why I suggest that is because I just had this feeling that there was someone covering Van Dijk. Now, obviously, when I've seen the replay back, I seen it at half time. I was like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
He's clearly last man.
Straight
He's
through.
absolutely through on goal. And a great decision. And I actually thought it was a brave decision from the referee. I thought it was a brave decision, given the game itself. Because it wasn't it wasn't a high challenge. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't a high one. It wasn't a dangerous one. It was just stopping him through him. And I thought it was quite a brave decision personally, against a team like Liverpool, who I think you could question maybe don't get decisions like that against them often. But at the time, honest to God, live, I thought, woof, that really surprised us. I was happy. I seen it at half time. I was like, oh, yeah, absolutely understand why. Crack on.
So Jamie Carragher believes that it's not a red card because it's not an obvious goal scoring opportunity, because he's unsure what Isaac will do with his first touch.
Take it to the corner
You
flag.
could literally say that about
He's in on goal. He's going. His runs taking him in that direction. Straight heading
Shea
towards
Given
goal.
said a great thing. Said he might not have had a first touch. His first
Yeah.
touch might have just been a
Bang.
shot goal.
And I'm sure then Carragher interrupts him again and goes, yeah, well, that's why we don't know if it's a goal scoring opportunity. He went, yeah, because he cleaned them out. Because he cleaned them out. Like, we don't know because he cleaned them out. He was through. And the ball itself, as you rightly said, it was perfect for him, wasn't it? He was never taking no touch. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, but that's Carragher, I guess.
It's baffling.
Yeah,
It's absolutely baffling.
I didn't know the rule about the double jeopardy only applied in the box though.
So
So
is in the box, yeah. So if it had been in the box, the argument is that it would have been a yellow card and a penalty to Newcastle, obviously, because you're still getting your goals, an opportunity to score from the penalty.
It's a fair rule, actually, I think.
Yeah, and they made a big song and dance on ref watch or ref debate or whatever the hell it is on Sky Sports about this, and should it have been a red card or a yellow card and all this shit? Why is this even a debate?
it's the most clear red card ever.
Is that the most
If it was
controversial
another
decision?
2 or 5 yards further forward, then it's a penalty and he doesn't get sent off.
But it wasn't.
Like, how is that? That's not controversial. That's just what happens because you get a chance at. Personally, I would have rather been in the box and get the penalty.
Yeah, I would as well, probably. Yeah. Well, given how
More opportunities for
the game turned out, yes, I'd rather him have stayed on.
But then that's why they bring in the double jeopardy rule, because you're more likely to score from it. Therefore, you're being punished twice.
Yeah, which is fair, right? I honestly think that's fair. I think that's fair.
But anyway, we'll get the free kick.
It's different though if you handle it on the line, right?
It depends on the foul.
Because it's deliberate. It's deliberate.
So if you make no attempt to play the ball,
yeah.
then it's red card and a penalty.
Yes,
So
but
you
he
just go
did
class,
clearly try to play the ball.
He did. Yeah.
Just quickly, so the Forest one, I know we're going off on a tangent, but to me, that wasn't a red card because I felt like Joe Worrell it was against Man U, where I think Bruno Fernandes is in. He does pull his shirt and pulls him down, but for me, Bruno's nowhere near that ball. There's a covering defender and a keeper. I don't think he's getting that ball, and he got sent off. Just interested to see your thoughts on that one.
I can't. I'd have to.
I never seen it.
I did see it, but I'd have to probably watch it back. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think if there's a covering defender here, then to me that's not. If there's another, if you're not the last man, sorry, if I rephrase it better, if you're not the last man, then he shouldn't be sent off.
Yeah, but
that's the whole idea.
You go back to the Villa game a couple of weeks ago at home, and you had a very similar situation where Mickey got taken out by the keeper.
Aye,
he got a yellow card.
Yeah. Which everyone was screaming for a red, but I didn't think that was a red. But I get it. But no, listen, like, and I thought, and I want to ask your thoughts at that moment in the game. Then, so we're 1-0 up. He's been sent off. We're only 20 minutes in the game. I feel
first of all,
20-30 minutes, something like that.
I'm disappointed in the free kick.
Oh, it was shocking.
That position to get a free kick, and
I think it was Shaw was shooting
I
it.
said you mocked straight away because a lot of people were under the thinking that Trips would take that, but that's Fabian Shaw's territory all day long, edge of the box sort of stuff, where he just normally smashes it.
Yeah,
it was a weird wall. Like, I don't know if you can notice from where he was. It was very weird because they had like the wall.
Yeah, the little one lying down.
Yeah, and then they had a huge gap, and then we had 3 of our lads with one of theirs, and I thought, okay, I right in the middle of that hole, it's going to come to here, and it was a poor free.
Stuck your whole life then.
Yeah, I was hoping Tonali
was going to have a little dig, like.
I thought I know they were chanting saying Trippier over the wall, which I understand, right? It's a free kick, but I did think Shea was just going to come up and belt it.
It was just probably too close for Trippier.
Wait, Trippier scored against Villa a couple of seasons ago from a very similar position, so I was expecting the same, especially like you say how the setup. But it was a poor free kick.
It was a poor free kick.
It was. But yeah, Deka, at that point of the game, I thought, this is how it is. At that point, I thought, yeah, of course, I honestly thought in my head in that ground, I thought, Deka might have been right here.
Back to the match preview. Honestly, like, if you just, let's forget about the rest of the game for a minute. That first 20 minutes, I mean, that's probably as good as you're going to see, in a game of the opposition you're against. We absolutely dominated them in every way. Every single time them trying to pass the ball, we got it back. Within seconds, we just had it back. We're 1-0 up. We're down to 10 men. For me, it was like, this is it. Now, I am not saying for a second, by the way, the players felt that way. I'm just saying how I felt. And I thought, now we'll take it to them now.
Yeah, so just to fire through the rest of the game, Mark, as that game went on, we started to lose our grasp of that.
Yeah, I mean, it was, even from the sending off, they obviously had to make a change. Took off, was it Gakpo on the left that they took off
for
and then
Gomez.
Brought on another central defender. Was it Gakpo playing left wing? I'm sure it was.
Might have been playing. No, it was Diaz that was playing left wing. Gakpo was through the middle.
Yeah,
but then they took him off and put that Joe Gomez.
So, and then they had to just sit that little bit deeper, and their game plan completely changed from that point. They were sitting. They made it very difficult for we're in the middle of the park, which again caused us issues because we just, when a team sits back in defense, we struggle to break them down. That it's something that we've seen time and time again, and their only hope was to kind of hit on the break with long balls over the top. They went very, very direct once they went down to 10 men. Even from, we've seen a couple of times from Alisson just trying to get the ball over the top to Salah to run through.
When Pope got sent off.
Yeah, Pope came out a few times.
He was heading it. I was like having flashbacks to that.
Do you know what it is? Nick Pope, you could tell he was nervous throughout that game because when those opportunities came, and obviously Liverpool were on the attack, and he was always in two minds whether he should come out or not, which we saw a lot from corners where he just came flapping at the ball and missed nearly every single one of them. Yeah. Then there's a couple of times where it was that awkward ball, which was either too short from one of our players playing it back or just too far ahead of Liverpool on the attack. And there's a couple of times he pelted it in the east stand and Trippier was going wild at him.
I genuinely feel he's a great goalkeeper, great shot stopper, but when he's got the ball at his feet, he looks like he doesn't know how to kick a ball.
A common thing that would be.
He looks like RoboCop a bit when he has the ball. If I'm being honest, and I don't mean disservice here, but like obviously Alisson in the first half. It's just. Christ, he's unbelievable. He's got the ball. He's just so comfortable on the ball. Just pinging balls.
He is the best keeper in the world.
I know. Well, arguably.
But he is for me.
Well, I think Edison's pretty good now, but on the ball as well, especially. But I think Pope did very well, man. There was a few where he come and headed it out, where there were a difficult moment where the ball bounced, and he did very well. I'm not taking anything away from Pope.
You were nervous though, weren't you?
Oh, I was. I seen him now going. I've seen this before. This part two.
Just expect to catch him.
Yeah. But what? Sorry, what did you say? Oh, yes. Sorry about Yes, this is what I was not happy about. Was I totally agree that when they went down to 10 minutes, almost their game plan's already set, isn't it? It's like, okay, right, we'll just be hard to break down. Blah blah. Their whole idea was keep it at 1-0 for as long as possible, and then see what we can get out of the game.
Yep,
and it worked perfectly. Right, full credit to you. However,
their midfield did very, very well because they were putting a hell of a lot of pressure on us when we got the ball, which meant that we weren't able to pick nice passes, move it around. We were having to really rush with passes, playing a lot of very short triangles and stuff like that. Ball not being able to go anywhere because, particularly on Bruno, they had two players on him a lot of the time, which then stopped us allowing us to actually start creating, feeding balls through. As good as I thought Tonali played, again, he couldn't really create much because when he was getting those balls in the dangerous, I think he had a decent bit of link up on the right with Trippier and Miggy, but there was never an opportunity where we could just play a ball through, get somebody in, other than the penalty and the sending off in the goal. That was probably the only time that we got Isak on his bike and trying to get in. He was having to come and drop into midfield and help out and stuff like that. I thought defensively they played very well as well, even going down to 10 men. you've got to give them a lot of credit for their game plan. As much as I hate to say it,
Oh, they were unbelievable.
It just
you can't deny that. Yeah,
the starved us of being able to create anything. And
it's how good that moment felt when Van Dijk saw red and was sent off. In hindsight, that's crippled us. Like
100%. Yeah.
Even how was referenced that as well, hasn't he?
absolutely crippled us.
Because for me, what I was going to say there was like I just felt certainly along the back line, right. I totally agree with what you're saying right, about the midfield. The midfield was chaos all afternoon, to be honest. Now, when they're down to 10 men, what I honestly thought, I was expecting Shea to bring out the ball more, right? And I found personally that the back four were passing it amongst themselves so slowly, right?
Yeah.
That it was so easy for Liverpool to go, okay, then, right, we'll set back up again. Yeah. Sometimes, and Dane, you'll not be watching, but Dane mentioned this a few times, miss out the man, right? So rather than go from Botman to Shea to Trippier, go to Trippier. Just Botman, go to him straight away. Just miss out the man. And it just gets it going quicker. Because I felt they were so slow at the back passing. Liverpool were just shifting across nice and easy. Now, the other thing for me is Shea, get the ball and come out with it. Physically draw someone towards you. And then hopefully, the hope is, of course, there'll be a player free. I really just felt we're really struggling in them areas. Like,
I think one of the things which we're missing as well massively is that obviously they're down to 10 men. Close to being down to 9 men, really, as well. Why have we not just targeted that left-hand side constantly?
We started off the first 5-10 minutes. Trent looked scared to even put a foot in.
He had him on toast every time.
Like he was scared to put. Why not just hammer that side? You either get a foul, you possibly get him sent off, or create a chance. And after about 5 or 10 minutes, we stopped doing that. And I don't know why. Like it was the most obvious thing. Obviously, I'm not saying every attack do that. Switch it up a bit, but we tried it for 5 or 10 minutes and then
and we're successful every single time because the challengers couldn't go in.
You could sense, I don't know if you used it, I could. You sense every time you got the ball, certainly in the first half, what you mentioned there was like this sort of like almost a feeling within the ground, almost a cheer before you hadn't even run at him. And there was a sense of like, get on him. And I agree with you completely that I just thought if you keep getting at him, we will get something, you know.
Again, I think though that they shut that down very quickly because Salah dropped back and start playing more in midfield, helping out and stuff like that. So they closed off that outlet because they absolutely recognised the fact that he was murdering them every time he was getting down that side. And this was another big problem for me. That left a load of space on the right-hand side, but we never switched the ball. We'd never hit it at the man into space. Or if we did, it would go across the back four to get there.
Finding loads of room on that right-hand side. There's loads of acres.
He had his hands in the air umpteen times.
Just seemed like they were doing it like a second or two too slow. Yep. Like there was so many times, obviously, because I'm watching it on the telly, you can see everything. That there's both Miggy and Trips up, and then even Tonali at one point joined in, and it was like you say, rather than pass it direct to them, it went into midfield and then out wide, and it's
the chance is gone. They've moved across, it is.
And then obviously, with as much as I like Miggy, his limitations with him only having a left foot, it just means that he runs down the line, he has to come back, and then that chance to get the ball in's gone.
I think it is moments like, and I don't want to criticize players, right? I don't, but there is moments like that where when we have to break down a team, you can sort of see where our limitations are, where that real lack of just that quality is not there. And I think, tellingly for me, the last 2 games, certainly for Isak, I've really felt sorry for him because at City never touched the ball. In Liverpool, never touched the ball. And listen, he is one of the best there is, in my opinion. I really do think that. And to reference, I'm going to fast forward just for a second. Please forgive us, but go back. Even when he brought Barnes on, right, I was furious that incident happened, but even maybe move Isak out wide for a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Because he's not doing anything down the middle. And that's maybe a bit of himself, maybe not. I don't know. But I'd also say we're not supporting him enough. Put him out wide just for a little bit. See put him out left for a little. Let him run a Trent for a little bit. Yeah. I don't know. That's what I was thinking at the time anyway.
So we'll move on to the substitution because that's a major talking point. And I think it's probably the first time fans have probably criticised the decision which Eddie Howe's made. Obviously, Gordon, Tonali, and Isak all went off at the same. No, sorry, Joe Linton went off. So it was Joe Linton, Tonali, and Gordon all went off at the same time, if I remember right. Is that right?
Wilson.
It was 2, then I think 1 was
2, and then another 2.
They were close.
I might be wrong. It
was Wilson for Isak and Gordon for Harvey. Barnes was the first one, and then
Joe Linton came on like a minute late. Come off like a minute.
And then he took Tonali off, and
yes, it was.
He brought Longstaff and Anderson on.
Okay, right. So a lot of substitutions in a very short space of time. as well. And I know once again we do have hindsight, but those changes just handed that game to Liverpool there. Like, it really did. I don't think we can look at it any other way.
You've also got to compare it with the substitutions that they made at that point as well, because like that was massive for them.
Oh, they brought 85 million pound strike off the bench. Yeah.
Were you worried when he come on? Because I didn't know who he was.
I was more worried. I was more worried. Not him. I was more worried about Jota.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And
honestly, to be fair, he did a hell of a lot in the time that he was on.
He was brilliant. I turned to the lad. I don't know who he was, but some bloke, and I went, "Oh, we're in big trouble here," like, because I just their game plan had worked perfectly. That it was still 1-0. We hadn't been able to get the second goal, and the subs that we made. So, well, anyway, to come to our subs, because I think this is what's important is. So you're watching the TV, with Gordon coming off. What was your immediate thoughts to that, and what did you see or hear commentary wise? Like, what was?
Couldn't hear anything because of some bells.
He has one full of
pizza.
Didn't know where to put those 20 inches.
But I thought it was a strange one. Yeah. But apparently he's alluded to the fact that he had pulled up or had like pulled his.
Well, we were watching because obviously he was down in our corner. And he didn't seem to be moving quite right, but he didn't seem to be struggling. But you could just say, "Oh, is he?" He didn't look knackered. But he didn't seem to be moving freely as he had been.
Well, as soon as I seen the two coming on, now this is I do not want to criticize Eddie Howe, right? I don't, right, because I really don't. But
we're allowed to though. We're
not though. Really, we're not.
No, we're to a certain degree. We're allowed to criticize certain decisions. I mean, of course.
Well, he's criticized himself on it.
Yeah. Well, my own honest truth thoughts here, right? Are
it's easy with hindsight as well.
It is. I just find that when it gets to a certain minute, who's coming on, who's coming off.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about our subs, right? Whether who's playing well, who's playing bad, I just know. Oh well, if he's coming on, he's coming off. That's how I feel, right? Now, when I seen Barnes and
Barnes and Wilson,
yes, I immediately looked at Gordon, thinking, is it going to be? I thought it was going to be him. And Gordon he was looking over quite often, going like, "Oh, is it me or not?" Like, and he was like wiping his head with his shirt and that. And then obviously it was. I was praying that it was going to be Miggy coming off, to be honest, and that it would have been maybe Gordon go to the right or Barnes go to the right, whatever. So I was very disappointed when Gordon come off. But I'm trying to look at it. Maybe he was hurt, as you've mentioned. Maybe he was feeling something, and I was wanting to protect him, which I suppose I haven't really read anything online.
So it was a triple substitution. So
Tonali. They brought the two, and then all of a sudden, Tonali then appeared on the touchline.
So it was Isaac, Gordon, Tonali that went off, and were replaced by Wilson, Barnes, and Longstaff. But even that argument with Gordon going off, Barnes is capable of doing a job.
Oh, I've seen it, right? We will know that, yeah, absolutely.
So really, that's not that much of a difference, in my opinion, for likes of Gordon to go off and Barnes to replace him. That's probably a change I would want to see as well.
The one for me was Tonali.
The one that,
exactly.
That
was the
I
one
was
for
going
me.
to come on to that one. I was, because I agree that Tonali was doing so well in midfield. He didn't look like he was struggling. And I know it's early days in his life here and in the Premier League, but it didn't look like he needed the break, if that makes sense. And what you've referenced here, there's so many changes happening, and it just really affected us, certainly in the middle of the park as well. And I think losing Tonali was huge. Like it was huge. And to be fair, I thought Joe Linton had a brilliant game. May I add? I thought Joe Linton was excellent. And then we lost him as well. We took him off as well. And I thought, whoa! All of a sudden now, our midfield is totally different. In the reference Mark's point, their substitutes were so attacking, and we just never, unfortunately, never recovered. We just never recovered.
For me, and I don't know what the rest of you think, but I really thought we missed Joe Willock. He could have been a big difference in that game, because particularly with those changes, because we had nobody that could just get forward, carry that ball towards goal in the middle of the park. I agree. Once Tonali went off, that just stopped the balls being moved around, because Longstaff, I guess he was coming in just to try and disrupt things, but Tonali had done that so well, just disrupting in the middle of the park and then giving the ball somewhere. But we were just missing somebody that once you did that would just then take the ball forward. And again, that's maybe why Isaac struggled a bit, because you just didn't have anybody that was just in that space between the striker in midfield, which is where we know Willock likes to go, particularly when there's him and Joe Linton together, and the two of them are interchanging and doing it. So,
well, me and Kris did a video before this, which was talking about certain players. Well, it'll be going on, but I referenced the fact that as much as I'm a huge fan of Tonali, and I am, and we'll talk about that, I still feel we're finding a way of the chemistry between
where
them three. I
actually
really
fits
do.
in
Yeah.
the middle.
I
Yeah.
really do. Whereas I agree with what you're saying completely. When Willock was on back in the day, if you like, last season, it was seamless, right? Bruno was where he was,
Yeah.
Joe Linton and Joe Willock. It was seamless the way it seemed to work, and I just think we are still sort of nurturing that a bit. I think. You say that.
You're right. He's finding his way in that team.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and as much
He's
as
doing a good job at the same time.
yeah. The thing is the things he's doing are great, but as a chemistry for the team, you can just see how it's not maybe quite right yet. But I'm not saying it won't be. Yeah,
And I think
I
that's,
don't mean that
you know,
criticism,
it's impacting Bruno's game as well, because he's having to sit a lot deeper than even when he's been playing the six, because he played the six for a hell of a lot of last season. But when Longstaff was there, they were swapping a lot more, getting forward. I think even if we'd even maybe seen them dropping in and sat with two of them alongside of each other, so that then freed one of them to then go forward as and when needed, it would have given that little bit of something just to alleviate that pressure that they were putting on with the substitutions that they made. But
I definitely agree with the three that we have in midfield. If you think of yesterday's performance and how it played out, them three in midfield do not get close to Isak at any point, really. No. And you're really hoping that your wingers are going to be the people that do that, or the players that do that. So whereas Joe Willock,
he'll be there. He'll be in that gap.
I absolutely agree.
He's the transition between the midfield and the strikers. And in the absence of that, we haven't got anybody that'll, can pick a pass, get that slide rule into that position.
Well, I definitely think
Bruno
Tonali can pass a ball, and that's one thing I will definitely say. He can do that.
Villa.
Yeah, 100%. I will reference that. I still don't think Bruno looks right. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know.
I said that.
He just doesn't seem to move as freely as before. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
It just seems a bit sluggish.
Yeah,
I was saying, even though it was the 90th minute, he's always had that little bit of drive about him. But when he was losing the ball, or when you were watching him get back, just seemed slow. And I don't know what it is about him, but
he had a very strange game, because in moments he was excellent, picking some brilliant passes, and then the very next time he'd pick up the ball, he'd give it straight to one of their players or lose control of it or something like that. It was just a complete Jekyll and Hyde performance.
If we'll fire through the goals, and as we're doing this, if anybody does have any questions, fire them in. We'll go through as many as possible within the next 20 minutes. But their first goal, obviously, Núñez comes on. Do you know what it is? He always has a decent game against us. People mocked him when he first came to the Premier League because he couldn't hit a ball and done, let's be honest. But
he needed Botman's arse to score.
He did.
I've watched that back 3 times, right? How did that ball get where it got?
Really, complete fluke. It's an absolute complete.
It is unbelievable.
He gets caught square on Botman.
Where you lose the ball in the middle of the field, or where you lose the ball, give it away.
But it hits Botman on the arse and then drops down, hits onto his heel. He then somehow manages to meg himself, and it falls perfectly for Núñez to run through on goal. It's a complete fluke.
It is a fluke. And do you know what it is? It's always Botman with these flukes as well.
Now, I just want to reference here, Botman was outstanding, by the way. He made a tackle or a block, if you like, on Salah. Oh, my God. It was unbelievable. The way he followed him across, it was absolutely brilliant, because that's normally when Salah made a wonderful run, and normally defenders do switch off, but Botman didn't.
The back four, Salah really didn't get a sniff out of Burn.
You know what it is? I thought left back, he was really, really good.
Yeah.
I thought he was so composed.
I thought there's a couple of times where Salah just knocked it past him. And
in a one-on-one race, he's always going to come out second against Salah. Salah ain't slouch, is he?
I just felt as the game went on, and I'm not just saying this because the 2 goals were the game, the speed of our back forward, I felt got found out a little bit. I just felt that way.
Well, that was the changes they made, wasn't it?
Goal. Obviously, I was at that goal where the goals went in. Honest to God, that finish for the first goal, is as good as you'll ever see.
It tucks it exactly where
I hate to say it, but it was absolutely superb.
If that's one of our strikers with that finish, I'm impressed.
It's clinical, but the power that he generates in it, to position it where he does, because
it's literally on the base of the post, isn't it?
It's unreal.
Honestly,
it's unreal.
So jumping across to the second goal, and this is one which frustrates me a lot, is that it's careless from Bruno in the middle of the field. Yeah. He's got the ball, and I don't know, he tries to knock it on with the outside of his boot.
He's just trying to bend around the player to get bombs away.
Harvey Elliott, that's right there in front of him, and it just knocks off him. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's silly. It is silly from Bruno, and obviously we know what's happened in the last week with everything on social media and Bruno coming out and having a bit of a dig at a Newcastle Twitter account, but it's silly. It's ridiculous from Bruno trying that at that point of the game when it's backs against the wall for us. For him to try something as flash as that it's minus.
It was ironic in a way because only a few minutes before that we were on the edge of their box. Certainly from where I was sitting, it looked like that. And the ball came and he played the same pass and it went direct to the goalkeeper, and the crowd went mental. Like, oh, they know that, right? And then literally 2 minutes later, he did the same pass again, but obviously in a more dangerous area. And unfortunately, it got to them. Now, what I was going to reference what the second goal was, I think what really hurt were as well, Botman had went off injured.
Yeah.
Right. So then Target comes on and Byrne has to shift into centre half. And I don't think Byrne ever really physically, mentally got into the position, if that makes sense. And I've watched it back a few times and it's really poor defending. Like, it's awful. And it's a lovely pass through. But the way Byrne, he doesn't, it's hard to explain. I haven't got a picture to show you.
He's not his body position, right?
Because he's awful. If he carries on the run a certain way, he'd be to try and shepherd him away from goal, but he just gets totally. And I think that's because
it didn't help the likes of that defensive uproar.
No, it
didn't whatsoever.
Absolutely not. And I'm not blaming Byrne for that. It's very hard for him to play left back all game and every game, and then slot into into centre half and go deal with Salah for the last 10 minutes. It's very hard. It's very, very hard. But again, to reference what you've said, we've lost the ball so cheaply, and within a second, he's in on goal. Within
same position.
I know.
Exact same position. A different finish as well. It's a great finish. Another great finish.
Breathtaking finish.
And you know what it is? It just, when the ball hit the back of the net there, it just, honestly, like I said at the very start of this one, it hurt that. It really did hurt.
Absolute sickener.
I think also to reference, my mate Iain says I say this a lot. I always say to reference, and I've said it now. Apparently, I say it all the time.
I would say it in regards. Apparently, I always get that.
He laughed at it. You know what you say all the time? You say, I'd like to reference. And I never say that, like, and I've just said it. But anyway, we've never felt that way in a long time, right? It's like we used to
since Liverpool last season.
Well, true, but like we just don't. We've been to games and seen so many games, and we're coming away thinking we're the greatest of all time, right? Like.
Some of us do.
Well, some of us do. And it has felt so long, personally for me anyway, to come away, that felt like the old Newcastle. And I'm not to be massively down here, but like the old Newcastle would have threw a 1-0 lead away with 10 men. We would have done that, or not Bruce or whoever.
It was uncharacteristic, wasn't it?
It was. It's a sickener. It's an absolute sickener. And especially against them as well.
Yeah, that's the worst, because you just felt like we owed them one after last season. The two games, the way things had went in those two games, the things that Klopp said across last season and so far this season, you just did want to stick it up them.
I don't like it up them.
Mr. Manwaring.
What I want to mention as
Great
well,
news,
we forgot to mention this, Iain, on our match reaction this morning, is that injury to Botman could be crucial. Because it did not sound good, Mark, did it, when he went down?
No, well, we physically heard it.
Yeah, you could hear it on the telly.
So I was on Twitter looking at Craig Hope saying that it's not as
serious
as first feared.
Not wearing a moon
because I had a feeling. I honestly thought if he gets hurt, we'll have to dip back in the transfer market. Like, I have to, because you can't be losing him. Like, he's so important.
Especially now that Lascelles has been going 10 rounds in town.
Yeah, well,
God knows what's happening with him.
Allegedly.
That's him.
That's him. Like, aye. So, but listen, if it's only a couple of weeks rather than perhaps months, we were thinking we cannot be losing him.
And there's an international break.
Well, you've got the international break coming up. It's just
the thing is, though, rumor is that Lascelles is on his way out to Luton. That's the rumor. That he's off to Luton. I think that's
Isaac Hayden definitely is.
Isaac Hayden's gone on loan.
I thought Besiktas were linked. I heard anyway for Lascelles, that is.
Yeah. So
I think Byrne will probably actually just shift across, and then we'll either play Target or if Hall's ready, maybe Hall. Yeah. Which I'm fine with that.
It's just chucking him in that early. I don't think you play Hall straight away. Like,
I probably agree.
That's like I've seen everyone calling for him to start. It's like a big game to just chuck him in.
Of course, because he's a new signing.
Mate, it's always
the rules. New signing, you've got to go immediately into the team.
Fans, like. You go on any social media when you've signed a player and have the map of the team. No matter who, you could have Pele and Messi, right? But if you've signed someone, you can't play anymore.
We've got Livramento playing up front next week just so we can get him into the team.
But
let's hope it's not a long one. It doesn't sound like it is, because he isn't so important, regardless of the calf arse thing that happened the other day. He is so important for us. He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. So need him to be back as soon as possible.
Like you say, it's potentially a good time for it to happen if it isn't too serious. Give him that little bit of a break, going into the qualifiers that we've got in the international.
I was joking with you, but we're saying if we had to delve into the market for a centre half, if we did, would you take Harry Maguire? Would you buy him or to loan him? I wouldn't loan him.
it must have been after the match, Mark. We were talking about this. I can't remember if you were there, and people said, "Do you think we'll go back into the market to get a centre back in?" And I said, "If Lascelles stays, then no, because you've got Lascelles and Byrne that can cover in that position."
Yeah, I agree.
So obviously we've got, like we've just mentioned it, we've got
Don't forget
Target
Dummett.
and piss off. We've got Target and Hall that can play left back, and argument is you probably can shift Trippier and Liverpool to either side, left back or right back as well. But I think right now with centre back position, we've got 3 there. Obviously, if you get another injury, then it's concerned. But I don't think we'll go.
How reference that saying if we had a real injury issue would be the only reason
I don't think
we'll
we'll have
jump
that.
at it. And clearly not with Botman. I'm very hypothetically talking here. I would personally take Maguire 100%. I would, like, no problems at all with it. I think he just gets a bit of bad stick online. To be honest, it's stupid.
He needs a new start. Like, he needs a fresh start.
But he can play
Get
left.
away
He can
from
play
there.
left centre half. He can carry the ball out. I think Howard get the best out of him. I'm not saying start about Botman. Can I add here? I'm not saying he's my future left centre half. I'm just saying that if Botman was a long
Could
injury,
do a job if needed.
well, let's say Lascelles went to Luton on loan or Besiktas. Is Maguire an upgrade on Lascelles?
100%.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you, because he is. He might not sing and dance and sing good karaoke backstage, but what Lascelles might be doing, keeping the gang together. But I think
don't know. He's
Maguire would be
Man
amazing.
United captain.
Also,
Yeah, I know
He's been England's captain, so he's
Didn't he get
obviously
loaned over back abroad.
I think
he's
he
got
did,
something
yeah.
there, hasn't he? He
But
must
no,
be
like-
very good in the changing room for him to be captain of England and Man United.
It's not going to happen. But I just think anyway. I was thinking out loud there, really.
I don't know whether they would, had issues with them last season, with them not wanting to. No, it wasn't last season. It was the season before, wasn't it?
Van der Beek or something?
Um,
Lingard as well.
Van der
wasn't it?
Beek and Lingard, but obviously there was big rumours that he was off the West Ham, and then that fell through.
Yeah, strange.
He'll be on a lot of money
He will be, yeah.
from the transfer from Leicester and going there for a big fee.
I just think some of the grief he gets is a little bit uncalled for. Like, I think personally. But anyway, we're not on about him anymore.
I'm going to end it on this one, okay? Because I think we'll probably talk about this for a little while, and I'm going to come to you, Iain, on this one. And it's not necessarily a question, but it's a comment which I've seen come in, and people chatting about this one. It's from James. That is, I can't believe we have had several windows on the Howe and Ashworth and still haven't upgraded Almiron. He just runs forward, stops, pass back to Trippier. It's so frustrating. Is Miggy becoming the scapegoat?
I think so. I I agree with.
Becoming?
Well, he was.
He's always been a scapegoat.
I think he's right in what he's saying. He is very limited going forward on the right, but let's face it, our best chances yesterday, all other than the goal, all came from Miggy. Like, he is very limited in going forward. I agree with that, but you've got to look no further than his last pre-season last season was great. He had that really good purple patch. And I think Howe's probably said he deserves a run in the team, and because he's performing that well, and then you've got the likes of Jacob Murphy, who's come in and done quite well, that's not the priority. But going forward, I could see him getting replaced 100%, but I think he is the new Maxi. It's like exactly what Deka said.
So it's great, and just because you've mentioned that,
Scored a lot more
one that's
goals
came
than
in
him.
from Aaron Deka, and it says basically this was literally said that this would happen when Deka said hopefully it would stop now that Maxi is gone. It just moved to the other side of the field, doesn't it?
And it does.
And into the middle of the field.
I think. Well, Bruno's been getting it a bit, but I think it's that. I think Ian's made a great point actually. About yesterday's performance in game. You think of the two best probably chances we had after the goal. It was both Miggy. One, he has a blinder of a volley that was one of the best saves you'll ever see. And the other one, he took on about 4 players from the halfway line, hits the post. I mean, no offense, there's not really much more he could have done in that moment of that play, right? Now, I understand the limited part about having to go back to Trippier. I get that, right? I understand that. But, Christ, we wouldn't have finished 4th last year if it wasn't by him. I'm telling you that now, categorically. We would have not finished in the position we did without him. So, I just think it's a little bit harsh to bin him off the, you know what I mean? Within what, 3 games?
And
To go back to he's the
just
problem.
to throw a caveat in there, more. It's not that Miggy can't be replaced. Of course he can. Almost every single player on that team, there's going to be an upgrade at some point. But like Iain said, that's not an upgrade we need to look at straight away.
When you look, I mean, obviously he's in that position at the minute, but people keep crying on about the right midfield of there. We've got a lot of options there. Outside of him, Murphy, who you've mentioned, you've got Barnes, Gordon can go over there. Matt Ritchie's now played there for a lot of seasons.
I do want to come back to that point though, because I would have loved to have signed Diaby. Personally, I would have loved to have signed him, and he scored again for Villa. Looks a hell of a player. Right? He does.
Like a
Now
fantastic one.
that isn't. Listen, if he had to come in, right, you almost have to kind of go back. Sorry, who said it? Who was it?
But you wouldn't be signing Barnes though.
No,
it's one or the other, isn't it?
We not have both, but maybe not, right? But well, we sold Maxi, so probably that was for Barnes, I think.
Yeah,
that was it. Bottom line. But anyway, so I do take the point. The reference where I will say squad wise, I will have to say this, right? As much as I've criticised Murphy in the past, right, and I'm happy to sit here and say I was wrong, right, because he's turned into a player that I never thought he could be, right? Categorically admit that. But having said that, we're a Champions League team that's been taken over, and we're right-sided of midfield is Miggy or Murphy. I do feel a bit weird saying that. I have to be honest, because I thought we would have upgraded. Like, I'm not saying that Miggy shouldn't start, because I feel like I'm now contradicting myself. But can you honestly believe that's the same lot that we had back in the day, and now we're a Champions League team, and your reserve is Jacob Murphy for that position? Does that not sound a bit surprising?
Yeah, if I think of the Jacob Murphy from 2-3 years ago. But you know, and same with Miggy. You know, we sat here this, well, not this time last season, but last pre-season, before the start of the season, we said we need a new left back and we need a new right winger. Fast forward to the January transfer window, we never needed a new right winger again because Miggy was having a hell of a season so far. Same in the summer. We didn't necessarily, yes, if we could go and do something there, then it would be a bonus. But again, because of what Miggy had shown and the fact that Murphy had developed so well, as that it didn't immediately spring out as you need to do something in there compared to other positions. And that's where we've then looked and strengthened in the team. Is there was more pressing issues that needed to be resolved than that.
Two
left
left wingers. Two left wingers more pressing than someone over that side.
Well, we'd always signed Gordon by that point, hadn't we?
Yeah,
but do you know what it is? Like, as much as we're defending Miggy, I think we do have to highlight that he doesn't have a right foot. He doesn't.
Yeah, but that comes
He doesn't.
and I appreciate that, but that comes down to playing with inverted wingers.
Yeah.
Because up until the last few seasons, he always played out on the left, or more as an inside left in that kind of position, and it wouldn't be an issue because you'd see him getting down there and whipping the ball in or coming in. But because we want him on that side, we want him cutting inside and coming in.
Salah's arguably the same, and there's a hell of a lot of players that just come in. You know they're coming inside. Obviously, sometimes you can't stop them because
Saka and Salah are arguably the two best right wingers in the country.
They'll always come inside.
They'll always come in on the left foot because they're left-footed.
Yeah, it's nothing new that really. Like, I get what you're saying. You know, but then again, you know, I remember you go back to the Spurs away last season. One of my favourite goals he scored, Miggy. He went the other side of the fullback.
Yeah,
was that damn quick. He managed to still shuffle around and bend it in. And like
he did that once on yesterday as well. He got there, and I thought, right now, just dink it. And that was the only time when I thought, you have chosen the wrong option there, because he did come back in on himself and it killed the move.
Yeah.
There's a comment in there by Tom that, and I'm going to disagree with it slightly. It says Gordon is inverted, but he can cause problems with both feet. We've seen Gordon on a couple of occasions since he's arrived where he's tried to touch that ball with his left foot and he just loses his footing completely. He's trying to dribble with his right, and his left foot gets in the way and takes the ball away from him.
That has happened, but to be fair, the Villa game where
he puts the ball,
he crosses it over, doesn't he? Whereas Miggy physically could not do that.
Yeah.
And I do understand that, but you know what it is? It might be blind faith on my behalf here that the performance. This is what he gets hit a lot. But they just say that was a fluke. So all the goals he scored some worldies last season. Oh well, he can't do that again. So it's very difficult. If that's your opinion, then I'm never going to be able to change that, am I? On blind faith, I'm going to say, listen, I'll stick with you because of what you did last season. And I understand a lot of people will not have that because of it. Well, I'll not do that again. And
if he hit the ball an inch to the right on 2 occasions yesterday, he scores 2 goals.
Yeah, he does. And he kind of. Them 2 chances yesterday. What can you do? I mean, that second one was incredible. I watched it again the day. I think, God, he just flew past players.
He picked it up in his own half.
And he's away.
And then his volley as well. I don't think he's ever struck a ball as sweet. And that's just a terrific save.
It is.
Do you know what it is, right? I think, like we just mentioned at the very start of this conversation, it has moved from Maxi to Miggy. It has. And it's,
but he's always got stick.
I know,
he's always got it.
There's nobody else to get that stick.
Maxi got it all. Like he got it all.
It's going to just get
rightfully
tunneled.
so.
It's going to get tunneled towards that. And yes, people in the comments are saying Miggy and Murphy are not Champions League quality players that are going to be starting the Champions League. right now, should we be in the Champions League? Probably not. We're so far ahead of schedule that we haven't had the ability to upgrade every single player in the team. We can't do it.
I agree
We've
with
had
you.
to pick and choose every single individual player, whether or not we can survive with them right now and to do a job. And I think Miggy can do that job. And there was other positions on the field that needed strengthening first.
It's the same people that are slagging off Miggy will have spent all of last season slagging off Longstaff. Longstaff's been upgraded by bringing in Tonali. So they can't slag him off. So now they're just slagging off. But we can't. It's one or the other. You either sign Tonali or you sign a right winger. You can't have both of them.
At the end of the day, it's a slow process.
Would you have done Diaby over him? Over Tonali?
Of course I would. But if you take Diaby on the right-hand side, then you're not replacing that left-hand side. It was one or the other, wasn't it?
Well, I'm saying not get Tonali, sorry. Maybe sacrifice getting Tonali and stick with Joe Willock and Longstaff or whatever, and then you upgrade Diaby. Sorry, apologise. You upgrade right wing with Diaby.
No.
Oh, I just thought.
Yes, Diaby's a great player. Of course he is. Of course he is. But I think the upgrade that we're going to see from Tonali to Longstaff compared to Almira and Diaby, for the time being, is going to be different. Yeah, it's going to be different. That might change over the season. It might do. But at this moment in time, we categorically need to strengthen that midfield position.
And I also think about it maybe 2 years ago. Christ, man, we had to strengthen everywhere. You know, we couldn't afford to buy anyone. So we do need to just pump the brakes a bit, like, you know what I mean? But
some people just get carried away and think it's like FIFA or Football Manager where you got to die. Like, it's not. Like, that doesn't happen in real life.
And we are got the handbrake on because of FFP.
Well,
and I do understand that. I do.
There's just been a 4-part documentary released, which goes into the depths of why we cannot buy all of these players at once. Yeah. Just go and take a step back. Just for a second, pretend you're not a Newcastle United fan and watch that documentary and think, this is why they haven't upgraded every single player. Because we can't. Look
at the facts. Look at what sponsorship deals. Look at what kit deals. Look how much money comes into the club through them compared to other teams. Yes, when we get the new deal coming into next season, you're going to have extra money coming in there. We're going to have all the Champions League money coming in next season. So yes, we will be able to then spend more money. People then I'm sick of seeing the comments around, oh, well, FFP doesn't apply to Chelsea. Of course it does. The difference is that Abramovich wrote off millions and millions and millions of pounds worth of debt. So they had a bank balance of starting at zero. Therefore, everything that they've brought in through sponsorship, marketing, they make a hell of a lot of money. Player sales, and all of that is getting reinvested
for a while.
They've won the Champions League multiple times. They're just skyrocketing.
You know what it is? I don't want to go on too much more about it, but there's a couple of comments saying that we've got 4 right backs. Right, Kraft isn't getting sold. Mankiw will probably disappear in the next week. Okay. Then obviously we've got Trippier. Ashby's gone out on loan. So we've only got Trips and Livramento there right back now. Trips is aging. The reason Livramento got brought in is to learn from Trippier.
Yeah, well, I'll mention this to the point of that.
That's why
we've got one injured.
4 right backs. Yes, on paper would do, but we've probably got about 10 centre midfielders as well on paper. Like,
no, I agree.
Still got Henrik on with, or did we sell him?
I think he's back.
He's still here.
This is what I mean.
He'll go out on
you can look at these individual positions. Oh, we've got 10 of them. Most football clubs will have this many of that amount of them, but one's injured, one's out on loan, one's probably going to be given away in Mankiw. Yeah. You're going to have 2. You're going to have 2 right backs. Yeah.
And I said this. I'm sure when we sat about who would you want, I said if something happens to Trippier, I went deep trouble, like, because everything goes through him. I think, in my opinion. So, but no, you know, of course, you can't upgrade every single area.
You only have 23 players as well.
Yeah.
And do you know what it is, right? It's taken, this is going to piss, I'm on a rant now. It's taken 3 games for people to fucking turn already.
And you know what it is? With those 3 games, we've matched the results of last season.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
with a better goal difference.
Yeah. Beat Villa at home, got beat off Man City, got beat off Liverpool. We haven't, is it digressed? Regressed. We haven't
a hell of a tough start now.
Exactly what I was saying this morning. Our first 5 games, our first 6 games might be, with teams that finish within the top 7 or 8, like that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculously hard start.
Honestly, I just don't get it. And we said this last season, lads. It won't take long for people to turn.
Just wait until
match day 2.
Just wait until the meltdown when we got beat off Brighton at the weekend.
Mate,
I'm telling you, we're getting beat at the weekend.
I'm not even joking when I say this here. I'm not joking. There was a guy behind me with 2 of them, but the one lad was on it. Whoever was sitting next to him, there was gone. 37 minutes. So I looked at the clock twice to make sure I wasn't wrong. He said he was gone.
Which clock did you look at?
The
scoreboard.
The scoreboard. The one at the top there.
Oh well, obviously it was my first home game of the season. I was like, "Whoa, where's the clock gone? Where's the clocks?"
And it was 37 minutes when I'm gone. Had enough of this. We scored Kris as well over his mate. I'm gone. Kris had enough of this. 37 minutes in, 1-0 up at this point. When the second goal went in, he just jumped on me heat straight away. I'm not coming back here. Say it off. And I'm like, wow, mate, like, come on, yeah. And I didn't like how everyone flooded out. Can I be honest there as well?
Got it at full time. It was.
I wasn't happy
what was
with
like
this.
Mark, at full time?
I think
full time whistle went fucking shit, fucking blah blah. Like, just calm down, man.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. I stayed back on my own, like, but I you know, they still did what they normally do, and I just think you got to be there, win and lose, right? Do you know what I mean? They've still tried the best.
I'm as pissed off as every other person in that ground. I was absolutely livid after the match. You could tell every single person leaving St James's Park was unhappy with the way that game ended. Every single person. But there's a difference between standing out and going, "Oh, fucking shit! Every single one of them shit. That shouldn't have happened." Yes, it shouldn't have happened, but they're not shit.
Yeah.
They're not.
No, I agree totally.
But I'm like,
I did leave because all the
he left on the 37.
No. I was with him, man. Oh, wait, mate, leave Kris on his side. But all the players, like it was Shea, first of all, started clapping. So I was, I stayed back for a bit. And when the players moved away, I looked to me right and I seen Klopp coming. I thought, I know what you're going to do. When he does this.
I wanted to punch his
I
face.
literally was gone. And then I left because I thought, you're right in front of us here. Like, so, yeah.
Do you know what it is, right?
Apparently, it's the best win of his career and all sorts, man. He's never had a moment like it.
And this,
I think we should take. I
think that he would have got a lot of pleasure out of that. Like,
but I look at that in a positive way. I think if that's what it means to you, that proves how damn good we are. And I've got no problem with them saying that personally. And I come back from Barcelona 3-0 down. So if you think that was better than that, then hey, crack on, man. But And
do you know what it is, right? Like, at the end of the day, was that a great performance by Newcastle? No, of course it wasn't. Should the game ended that way? Of course not. Are we allowed to criticise the performance? Of course we're allowed to criticise the problem, because there were certain individuals which weren't at the standard of what they should be, or that what we've been used to really since they arrived here. But our season isn't going to be defined by what happened yesterday. It's not going to be. Like, the lads will learn from it, just like over previous mistakes that were made. Just look at Wembley. We got to Wembley and just gifted that to Man United, really. Then next time Man United come to St James's Park, we'll absolutely batter them. We'll learn from it. This is what Eddie Howe does. So just take a breath, take a step back away from it, and just relax, man.
I second that, yeah. Absolutely.
It's been me all day.
Yeah.
Over it.
I'm not.
I'm
well over it.
He's like, always like, well, I'm normally like,
I'm still livid, to be fair.
Over it.
Like, do you know
I
what
was
it is?
today from work, but I was still with us.
Went home, had a lovely Sunday dinner for me tea.
On the Monday.
Forgot about it.
On the Monday.
No, yesterday.
Yesterday.
Man.
Oh, sorry. Oh, so you over it that quick?
Well, no. Today I am.
I wasn't like. I'll be honest, I wasn't like. But
I didn't watch Match of the Day last night. I couldn't bring myself to.
No,
I've stayed off Twitter just to.
No, I've never
avoid
been
all
on
the
Twitter.
interviews.
Can I be bothered?
It was a mistake. Of course it was. It shouldn't have happened. But what can we do now?
Move on. Adapt.
Learn from it, as you say. Adapt. Mark's favorite word. Yeah.
Right. Thanks everybody that has been watching and everybody that is still tuning in. There's over 250 years at the minute. It's been a pleasure as always. If you do want to like the video, it means a lot to us, and just become a member. It costs you absolutely nothing. It does actually become a subscriber. That costs you nothing. If you want to become a member, that is going to cost you $2.99 a month. You do get early access to content. You get access to the Telegram group as well. What else is happening? Football Content Awards.
Big week this week.
Come on.
We've got the Carabao Cup draw on Wednesday.
What?
Champions League draw on Thursday.
First of all, Football Content Awards. We are being nominated for 2 categories. So we're entering ourselves in the best club content, also along with the best club podcast as well. We'll put a link in the description. Just write GallowgateShots, all one word. Help us out massively. And then Deka can actually say, well, won you now with an award.
That would be nice.
That'd be canny, wouldn't it?
That'd be lovely, mate.
Just for that moment.
It'd be lovely, yeah.
Yeah. But also, Thursday, we will be doing a live Champions League draw stream. And there is going to be lots of us. Okay, so we will be doing a live reaction to the Champions League draw. So is it on Sky Sports? Is it on TNT? TNT. So TNT, it's free as well to watch on YouTube.
UEFA.com, it's free. Yeah.
Right, so just put that on your laptop, then put us on your telly, and you get to watch both at the same time.
Can't wait.
Honestly, watch along on the Champions League draw. Can you believe it?
So yeah, we're all looking forward to that.
Don't forget Carabao Cup Wednesday night.
Carabao Cup as well. We're not doing a live watch along for that one.
Well, we'll do a reaction.
Maybe. Right, thanks everybody. See you later. Ta-ra.